This is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with some more of the Manatraders series qualifying tonight. Tonight we are working on some Grixis Death Shadow. It's been a minute since we've done this deck. This is a Death Shadow variant that is basically blue-black splashing red. Death Shadow, obviously, a very powerful creature. The 13/13 gets -X, where X is your life total. So your objective is to get your life total to anywhere below the 13-point range. Usually the comfortable range is somewhere between 5 and 8. That doesn't leave you just dead to like a random lightning bolt or getting punked out by one creature usually. And then alternatively you have Gurmag Angler in this build to fill your graveyard, delve, and get a quick 5/5. Ideally, your best draws involve one of these two coming down on turn 2 or turn 3 at the latest. So this deck does involve some setup towards that end. You have lots of shocks and fetches, 2 Watery Graves, 2 Blood Crypt, and 1 copy of Steam Vents, along with looks like 10 fetches in this build. Basic Island, basic Swamp. And then you have Thought Seizes and Street Race, as well as Dismembers to help lower your life total. Beyond that, you have things like Thought Scour, Mishra's Bauble, and such, as well as discard spells to help fill your graveyard for a fast Gurmag Angler. And then to tie it all together, you have some copies of Snapcaster Mage to get some utility out of your cards. Cling to Dust has replaced some of the old like cantrips that used to exist in the archetype, like Sleight of Hand or Opt or Serum Visions. Kind of a nice utility spell that does give you another outlet for your escape ability. 1 copy of Drown Lock as both a counter spell and a removal spell, and then 3 copies of Stubborn Denial as a negate once you get one of your big idiots in play. Beyond that, your sideboard is a mix of cards. This is, by the way, this is the list that recently won one of the Modern Challenges this past weekend. 2 copies of Ceremonious Rejection, probably aimed mostly at Eldrazi Tron and regular Tron. The 4th copy of Stubborn Denial, 2 copies of Ether Gust for the red decks primarily, also decent against Gruul, 2 copies of Mystical Dispute for any type of Uro piles and any other blue decks. 2 copies of Collective Brutality, primarily aimed at burn and combo. 2 copies of Plague Engineer for any type of tribal or creature-based strategy. 2 copies of Kulagon's Command when you need to grind. And 2 copies of Nihil Spellbomb for anything with any type of graveyard sub-theme, so the Mirror Match, Uro piles, etc. So that said, let's try to queue for some matches, shall we? Match from Goblin Wall. All right. Good luck. Sand seems fine. It's not fantastic with the 1-lander, but between that and the Bauble, I do think we're supposed to keep it. Especially since we are on the draw. And seems particularly fine. So possibly Death Shadow Mirror. Watery Grave tends to be the primary. Go ahead and do the thing. There's no covered plains. So, looks like we're up against some type of Death and Taxes strategy. Chalice, Containment Priest, Reality Smasher, Thalia, and Thalia. So I would say Chalice of the Void is the card we care about. And the rest of these cards are kind of just nonsense. This pass. Gotta do this before it comes into play. Actually, I think we just want to use Fatal Push here. Death Shadow. Sure. Huh. Well. $14. I just attack with both. This forces them to Containment Priest or they die. And they can't kill us on the crackback. Sure. Put us to 1 and die. Interesting. Okay. So, probably interested in the ceremonious rejections, at least in some part. Pulling engineers are probably reasonable. Probably want Kolaghan's commands. Clean to Dust doesn't seem great. Curious what's going on. I wonder if the internet's acting up. Okay, so beyond that, Fatal Push is reasonable. Gotta leave in some amount of Stubborn Denials, I think, for Chalice. And removal spells. We're adding a lot of 3-drops to the deck. Probably not a Team or Battle Rage matchup. It's more about keeping control of what our opponent's doing. Shave a Snapcaster Mage. Go like that. This hand's really weak to Chalice on 1. Hey, Sweet Liberties, thanks for the follow. This hand is really weak to a Chalice on 1 if they have the nuts, so to speak. And even we really need a second land. Still think I keep, but this is one of those hands that you're just like, if you have Chalice on 1, it's game over. Still need to find a land. Thalia, Leonin Arbiter, and Dismember. What a interesting pile of Magic cards. Stompy Wire, thanks for the follow. Okay. I better not be... Oh, I was gonna say. I better not be getting chaliced after all that. looking for another land here, especially before that Thalia Heretic Cathar can come down. I think regardless of what's happening, we're fatal pushing. Yeah, I hear ya. That really sucks. Just gonna push this because I really don't want to stare down a Ghost Quarter or something and just get blown the heck out. Yeah, I pick it up on occasion. I'm normally a burn player for the majority of the decks that I play, burn or prowess, but like I'm noticing like a huge spike in red hate again, and Grixis Shadow has always been like one of the decks that I pick up every now and again. I do well with it and then like put it back down and never like pick it up for another 3 months, so it's nice to pick up a deck and be like, okay, yeah, I can still play this. Even though a lot of people consider it a fairly difficult deck to pilot. So our opponent's done that and that. They currently have Temple, Dismember, and Thalia. So we're up against a more interesting version of Eldrazian taxes. Like, I would love to leave a mana up for Ceremonious Rejection or any of that, but just the risk of getting blown out by, like, a Ghost Quarter or something is just too high with Leonin Arbiter in play. Yeah, and a lot of the Shadow decks have been going more towards, like, blue-black Splashing Temur Battle Rage, and I honestly think that's, like, the best way to build the deck. Like, I don't really think... I mean, Bolt's fine, don't get me wrong. But I think having a 2-color mana base that's like... a 2-color mana base that's like... I don't know. The list, this is the list that won the challenge this weekend, so I'm trying out card for card. Like, when I haven't played the deck in a little while, I usually just pick up one of the decks that have done well recently. So, okay, why would... Alright, so... Oh, yeah, Heretic Cathar, which we knew would come down. Don't really like cycling this, but I gotta do something here. Really would love to hit an island array push, or an island array swamp here instead of one of our other lands. There are times I wish I could fire up the Jeopardy theme and just be like do 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 ba do ba do ba do 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 do. Just from our opponent struggling here. Still looks like we're dropping some frames. I'm curious what's going on. If it's internet or what's going on. Making sure we're not DCing here. Of course, we draw Fatal Push. Another 1-drop spell, sure. Maybe for this reason I'm not supposed to board out Cling to Dusts for situations like this. Just to have maximum availability to not die. or to not get like stuck on one land, but I still think this hand was good enough to keep. It's just like unfortunate that we're bricking on lands even despite having several redraws here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right now we know our opponent has 2 of the 3 cards in our opponent's hand are Dismember and Eldrazi Temple. Not sure what's going on with our opponent. So, best case scenario, we get to like Ceremonious reject something. It depends. Historically, decks like Burn and Prowess are difficult matchups, but not impossible, especially if you understand the matchups. And then heavy removal spell decks can be issues. If you think of Death Shadow kind of like a Delver-esque deck in terms of what it's trying to execute, only it's kind of a reverse of Delver. Instead of playing the threat and then disrupting your opponent, it disrupts your opponent and then plays the threat, and then tries to leverage like Stubborn Denial to buy enough time to cross the finish line. So decks that can either overwhelm your disruption with like just a bunch of spot removal and disruption that can be difficult to interact with. So basically Uro piles can be difficult decks if their removal lines up correctly. Decks like Tron and Eldrazi Tron can be issues sometimes, especially if Eldrazi Tron lands a Chalice on one. And then decks like Burn and Prowess can get underneath of you. Your best matchups tend to be like the combo-ish matchups. So like Ad Nauseam, decks like Infect, decks where your removal and your disruption are relevant. So we got the Ceremonious reject something this turn. Once again, not drawing a land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the problem is, if I play anything here, it just dies to Dismember, right? But we know we have to fight through that Dismember at some point. And for some reason our opponent continues to refuse to play their second Eldrazi Temple, even though we know about it. I can't Fatal Push this unless I draw Mishra's Bauble. So I think I'm supposed to run an Angler here, see if they dismember it, and if we happen to untap with it, we have whatchamacallit up, Stubborn Denial. They'll likely dismember it and then hit us for 3, and at that point our Shadow might be able to take over, but we're taking 2 hits minimum because our Shadow will come into play tap too. So we're going to 2 at least. So we're going shields down a little bit, but yeah, Arbiter. Okay. It's like this is like a nightmare scenario, right? Okay, that's a thing. So play this tapped. Fatal push this. And if we happen to draw another land next turn, we could crack it, kill their Thalia, and still be in the game. But if they have like Eldrazi or Reality Smasher, we're just completely dead here. But we have to draw something this turn. Drown in the Lock would still do it. Inquisition, however, will not. We Inquisition for information. Doubt we're going to learn too much other hero than they have a land in hand. Yep, Simian Spirit Guide that we already knew about. And the problem here is I don't have Revolt, so I can like target this, but I can't actually kill it. So that was one of the gambles. Like last night, I was having this issue too with was it Mardu Shadow? Keeping the one land and not hitting. Only the Mardu list was playing a little bit more lands. I don't know that we change anything, really. Like, they could bring in Rest in Peace, potentially. But I don't know. I think Chalice is a much bigger threat. So I think I just click Submit. It's been a while since I've seen this variant of Eldrazi taxes. Doesn't appear that they're running Vial. I've been seeing quite a bit of the taxes deck lately. I'm not quite sure what's causing the spike in it. Like, I played a Burn League earlier today and ran into Mono White Death and Taxes. And then what else have I run into Death and Taxes lately? So I'd like to play first. This hand isn't exciting, but I still think it's a keep. Like, we have Stubborn Denial to kind of protect us against Chalice on one, which is like the biggest concern for us. So if they go like Leyline of Sanctity, sure. I think you kind of overestimate that card in this matchup. Maybe I was supposed to hold the fetch to be able to have Revolt for Fatal Push. Especially in the face of like a Thalia I don't particularly care about. It's just going to die here. So, shock in, Thoughtseize myself, put 2 cards in the graveyard, have 5, and then 2, pay 2, but then we wouldn't be able to hold up Stubborn Denial. So, not worth it this turn. Let's just bobble, change the equation. Bobble ourselves, card 4. I think I'll hold on to the bobble to have a Containment Priest? Even Mind Sensor. That's a thing, I suppose. One, two, three, four, 5. Put out the Bloodstained Mire. Obviously it comes in tap, which is annoying. Okay. Maybe for that reason I was supposed to play the island instead. Kolaghan's Command, you say? I'm gonna pass here. Hello. Human. Go, my zombie fish. Sure. One unknown card. Yoy, yoy, yoy. Discarding Thoughtseize here. Sure, I get to take my Kolaghan's command. It's fine, it's not going to really do much in the face of that Thought-Knot Seer. I guess we have to hope that their last card is not a removal spell. Okay, pass turn. I don't think there's anything you can draw. Actually, that was a mistake. I should have left that land in hand. Just in case they drew Reality Smasher, but whatever card we drew next turn, we could just turn around and use it to kill whatever they played. Still seem to be having problems with dropped frames. Interesting. So how is everybody doing tonight? Hope all is well. Working on getting another match here. Waiting for Nahuel 10. I've played against them before, but I don't remember what they're on. I'd like to play first. Sand is risky. Like, we have a one cantrip that really doesn't give us any card selection. Battle Rage is a blank and 4 lands. I think we need to do better. This hand seems to be a little bit better. Keep back one of the fetch lands. Cling to Dust. No information about what our opponent's on. I think I'm okay with that. This looks like it might be Uropile. Pitchy Death Shadow, which is unfortunate. Cling the Bauble to draw a card. Caster is not the most exciting draw, but it's fine, I suppose. Looks like we're up against an Uropile would be my guess, or blue-white. Probably Bant would be my guess. Yep. At least pretend like we have some interaction. Other than Fatal Push. Growth Spiral? Yep. Path to Exile. Sure. Grab the swamp. Looks like they're going to Uro us, which means we're kind of priced into clinging it. Nothing quite says. So what are my realistic options here? I can snap cling or just cling escaping it. By the way, we're pretty much 100% dead at this point, unless their hand is total garbage. Jace the Mind Sculptor would not qualify as total garbage. We'll give it one more draw step. Card on top. don't think I particularly want to draw a Thought Scour, so I'm just going to go ahead and Thought Scour us. Main deck Ether Gust, huh? It's unfortunate that's kind of garbage against us. Another Uro. Yeah, we can safely move on with our hand of fatal pushes versus 1,000 counter spells from our opponent, or 1,000 ways to interact. All right, game one. Not a good draw. Not a good hand, etc. Mystical Dispute seems fine. Hell Spell Bombs seem fine. Kolaghan's commands are kind of iffy. Like, most of their removal exiles. So we definitely want these 4. Can probably trim some number of pushes. Probably a Dismember. We want to leave in some removal for Uro and Kodal. Potentially Snap as well. Though Snap usually is more of a speed bump in this matchup. And then Ceremonious Rejection, no. Stubborn Denial, no. Ether Gust, it's okay against Uro, not like fantastic. Fatal Push deals with Uro temporarily. Collective Brutality could be okay. Plague Engineer, like 1 could be fine if they have Kodals in their deck, but most of these decks aren't running Kodal anymore. 1 T-Burn Battle Rage could be fine. 1 Kolaghan's Command could be fine. I think of all those options, I'm probably interested in like 1 TBR maybe? No, I don't want the 4 Stubborn Denial. Look at the cards. The cards will do things. Hand is amazing if we find a threat. Otherwise, it is terrible. And by the way, when I'm talking threat, Snapcaster Mage is not a threat. I still think we keep it, though. Has the ability to reduce our life total nicely. Has a couple Stubborn Denials, which are among our better cards in the matchup. Just pass turn. Probably going to fetch Watery Grave. Fetch first, then cycle the Street Wraith. Because we really don't want to draw lands, so we actually want to actively thin our deck first. Alright, there's Big Fishy. Not the easiest one to turn on right now, though. It's actually possible that I might just play Snapcaster Mage as a threat, just to start pressuring their life total, because we are the beatdown in this matchup. Do I have any red cards in my deck right now? Battle Rage, Kolaghan's Commands. Okay, I actually have no red cards in my deck right now, so I'm just going to fetch the other Watery Grave. And while we could like try to grind here, I think trying to establish at least some type of clock is potentially relevant. Keeping in mind there's really nothing we can do about nothing we can do about Supreme Verdict other than try to Thoughtseize it away. Bobble ourselves first here. Cling to Dust. This is card 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they have double, like counterspell and removal spell, or double removal spell, it doesn't really matter what we do here. I'm going to prioritize blue mana. Path's annoying, but we have to counter it. We have a second Path Exile. Nope, they have Veil of Summer. Cool. Spellbomb's not terrible, especially if they go Uro here. Attacking our red mana. Ironically, we don't have any red spells in our deck, so it's not really that relevant. Can we fish again here? Well, first, let's attack. Yep. Seems very much like they're holding up Veil of Summer here. Sure. I think they were trying to bait us into acting Nihil Spellbomb, and maybe we were supposed to there, just to not give them another removal spell. As Field of the Dead's going to be basically game over. I'm going to Thoughtseize them. There's a good chance they have Veil of Summer here, the way they've been playing, but... that's actually more annoying. I think we're in the desperation spot. We have to activate Spellbomb here. response to that, we're gonna fetch. Don't think I'm gonna shock in here. Okay. Probably a good thing we didn't. Yep, these two zombies are gonna be difficult to overcome. See, blue-white used to be a close matchup, but, like, this just too much to fight through with Uro and such anymore. Uro, Field of the Dead, they just have all the inevitability. Sure. Drop and lock. Awkward. Awkward. Looking for stubborn denial, draw and lock after I just got rid of their last card. Cool. That kind of sucked. Moving on. Okay, looking for an open match. Cub. There we go. So I'd like to play first. Three, 6, 8. Luris. Definitely keeping this hand, but I'm curious if they're on a Prowess variant or if they're on something like Bottles. I need information about what's going on with my opponent's stuff. Misty Rainforest. So, the two things that are ringing bells in my head are Devoted Company, or Devoted Druid Combo, and Mill as things that could be playing Misty Rainforest and Luris. I guess it could still be Bogles. I don't really know for sure. Would love to draw a discard spell here. Ding! Alright, looks like it's Druid. So we take Devoted Druid. See, that's one of the other things with decks like Shadow is you have to really be able to kind of interpret a limited bit of information. So I'm going to go Inquisition, take their Eldritch Evolution, and play Death Shadow here. Like, leaving them with a Mana Dork obviously isn't fantastic. But killing one Mana Dork only for them to turn around and play another Mana Dork really doesn't do us any good. Thought Scour here. This is actually a mistake. I should have played one of my lands first, because if they had Path to Exile, there would be a moment where I'm vulnerable. It's possible I should shock in here to increase the clock. If they crack their Horizon Canopy, I think I'd be fine with that. Sure. Alright, Street Wraith first, so that we find here. Stubborn Denial. Stubborn Denial is good. So opponent has Windswept Heath and Luris in hand currently. Targeting themselves using the bobble trick, sure. Okay, they like the card, whatever it was. So Luris is getting countered. This allows me to leave Stubborn Denial and Fatal Push up here. One unknown. So you're saying you're dead? Alright. And that is how Death Shadow dissects a combo deck, at least in game 1. Playing engineers seem pretty good. It's been a minute since I've seen a devoted druid deck, so devoted druid. Yeah, they're all about the combo. So I don't think we have to worry about that version, because they had Luris as their companion. That version looks a little bit more like what we're staring at. Bale of Summers. Good to know about. Probably want Ether Gusts. And then K-Command might be interesting, although Veil of Summer makes that even debatable. Some people might want Temur Battle Rage, as they are a combo deck, but we are the control deck in this matchup, so are we the control deck? I mean, yeah, we want to keep their board in check, but are we really the control deck? I guess it doesn't particularly matter. Want to Cling to Dusks in case they have Postmortem. Cards are not actually good here. Might be able to shave a Stubborn Denial. Doesn't seem like they're going to have Rest in Peace, but I guess it wouldn't hurt to shave on Graveyard Elements a little bit. And Bobble, I guess. Put mulligans to 6. We're staring at a hand that has Ether Gust and Dismember. 3, 7, 9. Could potentially play Death Shadow on 2 if they play a Mana Dork on 1. So I think this is a keep. Then it becomes like, do I want to kill the Mana Dork? I think so. Oh, Giver of Runes? Yeah, we definitely gotta kill that. Druid. Just have to main phase Ether Gust this. Actually, yeah, I have to main phase it. Don't want them getting extra mana. Problem is here if they have Veil of Summer, we're just kind of in a lot of trouble. I think I'll give them the opportunity to fetch first. See if they play around. Yep, they just play around. Things and stuff. If they have it, we get blown out either way. This at least gives them one less draw step to draw it. Does give them mana, but there's not a whole lot they can do on the main phase or on the upkeep. Especially since this version looks like it's gone away from the Court of Callings for in favor of Finale of Devastation because it's more efficient. In Eldamare's Call. So what is their last card then? Postmortem Lunge? One, two, three, four, 5, 6. Now we can fetch Shock, play Death Shadow, play Kermag Angler, pass the turn if they have a land drop. It does make our Death Shadow smaller, which is unfortunate, but it does keep them from having a play this turn outside of Path to Exile. Path would be unfortunate here. Wow. Sasquatch Recruiter, eh? Dotsies. Don't think that's going to hit much here. Sure. Be funny if we had a Snapcaster Mage here to punish them. Now we really need to draw a removal spell. Last card land. Postmortem lunch. Is there any reason to give our opponent the information that our last card is a land? You never know, we might need... So... Am I willing... Okay, they have to block something, so... I think they're just supposed to block one here. But I am perfectly happy with these blocks. To drown your Luris. Don't know that there's... Okay, I guess I was going to say... Path to Exile would be the card that would buy them a turn. Guaranteed. Snapcaster Mage would have probably closed it out regardless. Do I want to play one more match tonight? think I'm going to go ahead and do a quick wrap here. The Manatraders series only runs till midnight, and I have to be up kind of early in the morning for a doctor's appointment. So, thought process on this list, I really like the kind of balanced approach to the deck in terms of not a whole lot of red. I think Temur Battle Rage in the main deck is fine, and then Kolaghan's Commands on the sideboard's fine. I think the original pilot of this deck, who was... yeah, that is very much a standard deck listing. Dark Jund SA did a good job at finding a balance of a deck. Like, I'm a huge fan, especially of like reactive decks of a bunch of 2-ofs, and then your one like random on its own cards, the 4 Stubborn Denial from the main deck, which seems fine. You know, we lost to an Uropile, not really a huge shock. We beat Devoted Druid, and what was the other deck we played? Eldrazi and Taxes with the Chalice Simian Spirit Guide build. So, you know, probably not a fantastic matchup, but probably not a bad matchup. And then Druid is probably a close matchup with us slightly favorable. And then Uropile with Field of the Dead is just Uropile with Field of the Dead. It's kind of hard to, you know, pound those decks into the ground or outgrind them. Like I said, you used to be able to, like, kind of hang with blue-white control, but, like, Esper was annoying because it used to have, like, Fatal Push, Path, etc. And then Uropiles, whether it's blue-white X or Sultai, both are probably rough matchups, especially if they have some type of removal for Gurmag Angler. So, you know, kind of hard to grind through that one too much. You have to have like your kind of like your upper end of your draws 2 of 3 games to win that match. And even then, like, you know, we had turn 2 or 3 Angler with Stubborn Denial backup, and they just had Path plus Veil and blew us out. So, you know, that's kind of a hard sell to beat. But I'm going to go ahead and send you guys on to probably Ghost. He's usually streaming Modern. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. And I hope everybody has... Actually, I think I'll send you guys to Tweezy. He's probably streaming Eldrazi, be my guess. So I'm going to go ahead and raid Tweezy. I want to thank everybody for hanging out again. This has been John for MTG Nexus.